I'm just hanging out waiting for the live stream to say that we're completely live and waiting for people to come in. It says we have started, so I know there's some people that were waiting. So some of you guys are too funny. So the chat box is open and we are completely live. So I'm going to wait for people to come in, and if this is one of the first times you've seen a live stream as it's been archived, if you're watching this after the fact, my channel on YouTube, of course, if you've made it here, is called Jen Evers, and it connects to my Facebook group called Koala Tea Crafts, and I had that written down, but I don't know where it went. Koala like the bear, tea as in the letter, and crafts, Koala Tea Crafts. It sounds like you're saying quality, but it's koala tea. And hi Simonaya, thank you for joining me. Great, Kathy's here, super. So my channel connects to my Facebook page called Quality Crafts, and it is a non-commitment page. You don't have to enter anything. If you don't want to, you can just hang out and lurk, be inspired. But it's a place for people. Hey Jen Rains, hey Jen Marker and Tiana and Beth. We do run swaps once a month, and we do run challenges once a week. And the challenges, all you have to do is find the correct album to post that in, and you don't have to send anything out. So those are some of my favorites, because if you're the kind of person that is a procrastinator, or you don't like sending things out, or that's just not for you, you can still get in on the contest. If we have 10 people or less join in, we give away one prize. If we have 10 people or more, up to 20, I think that's how it works. I'll have to ask Kathy if I'm saying that correctly. Hey Darla, Jerry, Sharon. Darla says, hey Jen, teach me to color because I don't have enough sense to. Okay, so if you are really good at coloring, this is not the live stream for you. However, I do have one other really fun thing I'm going to show you towards the end. We're going to try to keep it to 1 hour, because even though I seem my spunky self, I am nauseous to beat the band, and I've been eating nothing but saltine crackers, drinking Canadian dry ginger ale, warm, and chicken noodle soup, and just praying that everything settles down before Monday so I can get back to work. Oh, Tanya says she got her times wrong for New Zealand, but she got here. Yay! That's awesome. I'm glad you're here. I'm going to show you that other little thing that I might show you towards the end. So like I said, we're going to try to stick to 1 hour, just because I'm not feeling up to par. Those of you who follow me intently know that I have a 5,000 subscriber giveaway video that's supposed to be coming out soon. I wanted to get it done this weekend, but I'm just not going to push myself, so it'll come out this week on one of the days that I have the most time to put that out. Here's the really fun technique that I found, and I think I just sliced her name off. Oh, I still have it. So I found this from Virginia Lou. You can almost see it. I cut her off. Virginia Lou posted this on Stamping Enablers, but she has her own blog, I think. But this technique of getting this swiped look, and she used watercolor paper and this fancy set of watercolor, just watercolors that she had. I don't have anything that she had, but I have inks and embossing stuff, and I'm going to show you how to recreate this towards the end. I'm going to need, Kathy, if you're watching, I'm going to need probably about 10-15 minutes to pull this off. So as a reminder, let me just peek in and see. Oh, Candy, welcome. And Star Wolf, I should totally know who that is, and where are my notes? I want to say Laura, but I think that's wrong. Shame on me for not knowing who you are. I'm really out of sorts today. Yeah, I just can't find it quick enough. So we'll just leave that alone. Hi, Elisa. And some of you guys, I probably don't know you by name right off the bat, so I'll just call you by your YouTube name. Yay, so Kathy will keep us on time. I'm going to get started. I've got 4 images here. So I thought I would leave it up to you guys to maybe vote on which one you'd like to see colored. So while we're waiting here, so let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, Lori! Oh, shoot, I was so close. Thanks for joining, Lori. Oh, good, and I said the prize is right, too. For the challenges on the Quality Crafts page, 1 to 10 people who enter, we give out 1 prize. 11 to 20 people, we give out 2 prizes, and so on. We just want to encourage people to join in. Hi, Sherry. She said she's super excited about this. I see a lot of 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, hey, Nicola. So today we're actually, I don't know if it's Nicola or Nicola. Let me know. Or if you just like to be called Nicole. Hey, Jody. Great. So Jody is our not our timekeeper. She is the name collector. So she collects the names of everyone who watches the live stream. And every time I do a live stream, somebody wins one of the things that I either prepared for or made during that live stream. So as long as we're on that note, let me just say who won the last one. And I know her name by heart because I just filled out all the information and did the envelope, so it would go out immediately tomorrow. But I was going to show it on screen anyway. And I know she couldn't make it today because she's having a fabulous surprise birthday for her husband. But it's Deborah James. Deborah James won. So yay, Deborah! And the last one that we did was what, November? I can't even remember. 23rd maybe. Hey, Jocelyn and Buffy. Welcome. And Lee and Deb. I see a bunch of 3s too. 1, 2, 3. I saw mostly 3s and 4s, which is so interesting because these were the 2 that I really wanted to do. Not that it matters I pulled out 4 because I could confidently do any of these. So I think we'll just stick with these 2. Let's start with this one. This one actually is probably the least to color. The easiest, I think, in my opinion. But this will do nicely for a couple of techniques that I want to show you. Side note, a tip for your throat: mix your ginger ale with orange juice. It will bubble the bugs loose, and then drink hot tea with lemon. Oh, Darla, that's awesome. Unfortunately, there's nothing wrong with my nose or my throat. It's all in my stomach. Good tip, though. I will save that in my pocket for a rainy day because I'll bet you I will use it down the road. So I've gathered a couple of my favorite colors. I like to do pink and blue during Christmas, and then I have some red and I have some green. And we can always go with alternate colors, but if you're going to color along with me and you have Spectrum Noirs, if I can get this to clear up for you, if you want to gather your Spectrum Noirs, these are the colors that I'm going to use. Not to say that we won't use more, but these are the ones that I'm using if you want to write them down. Or, go back in the feed and pause it and write them down. And if you're watching this archived, pause it and write them down. Okay. I am using plain old regular 110-pound cardstock. All right. It's Nina white cardstock. That's it. That's okay, darling. No big deal. I'm showing you how to color today using Spectrum Noir markers. There's an alcohol-based marker similar to the Copics, except for instead of a brush end, mine are really hard to open, some of them. They have a nib end like this. I can probably reach my Spectrum Noirs. Oh, and if you guys are all about my pajamas, I've got pajama pants on today. Check out the new pajama pants my sister gave me. They're little Rudolphs. Oh, excellent. I've got one right here. So most people that have already watched my live streams, they know that I live stream in my pajama pants. So here's a Spectrum Noir end, a big beautiful brush end for getting into really tight, tiny spaces. And I love, love, love the Copic so much, and I have a ton of them, but I use the Spectrum Noirs more often because I'm going to turn you around. If you get sick, cover up. I'm going to show you my Spectrum Noir and where they are and why I color with them more often, because they're easier to get at. So there's my Spectrum Noir right above my desk, which you can see is set up for doing pictures and stuff today. But that whole thing right here, this whole thing is all my Spectrum Noirs, and they're all in a nice little case, and they're at my eye level, and they're easy to grab, and that's why they get used the most often. Plus, I learned how to color with the Spectrum Noirs way before I could even afford to get a Copic marker, and they're just my go-to. I just go to them. First thing I'm going to do is show you that you can color something with a shading or a two-tone by only using one single color. So if you're on a budget and you can't afford to get a whole bunch, but you can afford a marker here or there, well, these are sold in, that's a good tip for Copics, I guess. These are sold in, I think, 6s, right? A family of 6 colors. So really, you'll get a whole bunch of colors in one. But let's just say you're trying them out and you only had one. I want to show you a quick tip on how you can color 2 different colors with one marker. Because basically, and I want to, using my old eyes here to squint and make sure that I get this close up for you. I'm going to do the top of her hat right here. And the first thing I'm going to do is just follow closely to the line and color the whole darn thing in. With basically what would be one layer of ink. So try not to go over it, completely over and over and over it again. Just go over it until it's covered with one layer, like that. All right, and then you take the same marker, and I am using DR5. Sorry if I didn't tell you that ahead of time. DR5, and then go over the corners where your shadow would be. I should have probably prefaced this. I'm not a professional colorist, but I've had so many people like the way I color things that they wanted to know how I did it. And basically I watched videos like what you're doing now. I took all their tips and tricks, and I just continue to watch and continue to learn. So all I'm doing is going over these edges right here, these 2 corners, this one and this one, with the same color marker, which was DR5, a couple of different times. And then I just kind of let it sit. They're alcohol markers. They blend and they dry quickly. And then I'm going over it again. Just the corner though, not the whole thing. Because the more you go over a color, the same color, the darker that color will be. The pigment will just go on top of itself. So I'm thinking you can see that from where it's at, but let me lift it up just a tad. Can you totally tell that the middle part here is a lot lighter than the 2 corners, and it looks like it was shaded out, and that maybe the light would be hitting the top of her hat there. Oh, hey, Deborah, she just finished the laundry. Whoop, we're glad to have you. If you have questions, please put them all in capital letters, because while I'm blathering and doing these things, sometimes I miss it. And that way, Kathy might repeat it for you or let me know somehow that I'm missing things. Oh, excellent. Kathy found that you can get that precision glue tip at Walmart, and they'll ship it to the Walmart that's nearest you, and it's like $3 and some cents right now. And we're talking about something that looks like this. This is not the exact same one, but it looks similar to this. Okay, so let's move on with that. The other thing is to pick a lot lighter of a shade. This almost looks more like an orange, the CR10 right here. than a red, but I found that this combination looks really good together. There we go, DR5 and CR10. So now what I'm going to do is I'm using the same color I did on the hat, but I'm going to use the CR10 as like a lighter shade, and we're going to do the middle of her dress right here, right in there. Oh, the other end is this big chisel end, which unless I'm going to color a big area of something, I hardly ever use that end. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to color in this whole part of her dress, this whole middle part, with the lighter color, which is CR10. Here's another thing too. I think I color quite well. I'm not a professional and they don't turn out, you know, professional grade, but I'm happy with the way I color. And I don't spend a lot of time coloring my images. I know that you can take a Copic marker and go over and over and over, but you saw how quickly I colored that hat. That's just me. I don't like to spend a lot of time doing stuff like that. So now what I'm going to do after I've got it done with the CR10 is I'm going to come back in with the DR5 and I'm going to use that for making the shadows. So, and I don't know much about shadowing and highlights. Like, I did not go to art school for this, but I basically just follow the outline. So if you really don't know, like Sherry Ball, these images here, you know what? I should have wrote down what these images were. It's not my intention to draw to, what do you call it? It's not my intention today to be going off about Sherry Ball, the images, but if you want to know, that's where I got this from. I just didn't write them down because that's not my focus today. And so, do you see that I just went around up? Her images usually have little lines on them. Come on, guy. Anyway, you can see those little black lines coming up. I was hoping to get a little closer. Follow those lines. Those will give you a really good idea about where that's supposed to be. And then I'm going back in with the CR10, and I just go kind of like in little round circles until over all of it, until the two colors seemingly blend together. And this gives us even more of a variation between those two colors, while at the same time it's darkening up the middle and blending the two out together. And even though that looks more like an orange, once you get them together, you can totally tell that it looks more highlighted in the center than it does towards the edges. And you get that really cool look. So let's just go ahead and use the CR10 and the DR5, and we'll finish off with her sleeves. The next thing I'm going to do, if you're looking ahead and you want to figure out, I didn't pull them yet, but I need to pull a few gray colors. We're going to use gray, and you can use blue too, gray or blue, to make something look white. I always used to be like, well, why don't you just leave it all white? Like, what's the big deal? You don't have to be careful with overlapping if you're using the lighter color at all. Nope, it will not affect your markers at all. That's a great question. Where I got the images, Janice, is these images are all Sherry Baldies. If you know anything about me, I'm really addicted to Sherry Baldi images, and I am the coordinator for the My Besties YouTube design team. So a lot of my images that you're going to see are going to be Sherry Baldi images because I just have tons of them. And I love, and if you follow my live streams, I've done lots of regular stamping, but I'm big into digis too. I have not refilled these markers at all since I've owned them yet, but I do keep track of a couple. I have about, I don't know, 3 or 4 of them that I really need refills for, and I'll probably order them online through Amazon or an online company. Oh, you do have to be careful when especially when you're using reds, because they tend to bleed out more. To go close to the line, but not on top of the line, because it will bleed out. That's a great question. So I'm going back in with the DR5 and I'm just following these little creases that she physically drew into the image. So I'm not taking any kind of knowledge that I know about where those should be. But usually when something touches another thing, you have a shadow. So right where her hands are going into that little puffball thing in the middle, what do you call that? A hand warmer? There's an old-fashioned name for it. Somebody's gonna tell me about it. The hand muff, where you put your hands inside that thing and keep them warm. And then I'm going back over the DR5 again, in kind of little circle motions over the top until that DR5 blends right in with the CR10. Now this is not the only combination you can use. Like I did the hat with just that one color. You can play around with combinations. Here's how I learned how to do this kind of blending. I took a stack. I went through a stack of cardstock. Well, let's just say I went through an entire ream of cardstock, of digi images and stamped images through a period of at least a year, coloring while I babysat while the babies were sleeping until I got this good at it. And that's including watching YouTube videos on the side and all that. Muff! Thank you guys. Like there's like 50 muffs in the I'm over exaggerating, but the whole screen of mine is filled with muff, 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 muff. Oh Lord, you guys crack me up. Okay, I'm just gonna finish since we've got about 40 minutes left. I want to give you the grays tips too. So we've gone over and I've given you tips on really quickly, a tip on how to just use one color. Color it all that color with just one layer, and then wherever you want your shadows, and that's a good tip for Copic markers as well. Wherever you want your shadows, you just go back over with the same exact color many times until it darkens up. The pigment will just keep getting darker as you add layers. So now I'm going back over it with the DR5 and I'm following Sherry's lines, and I'm going next to, you know, things that touch. Something that touches something else, there's usually a bit of a shadow there. The dips of these little things are usually a little bit darker. So I'm just adding a little bit to that. And around this little star thing, there's probably a shadow there of some sort, who knows. You don't have to be perfect. I mean, people get so crazed up about having to be exact that they don't take the time to practice because they say, oh, well, I suck and I'm not good at it and I don't know anything about it. Yeah, neither did I. I learned it because I really wanted to. It took me hours and hours and evenings and reams of paper to get to that point. And I still have tons to learn. There's still so, I could have made all kinds of creases in this dress and made it look really three-dimensional and all, you know, I'm not there yet, but eventually maybe. So we don't run out of time. Let's do I'll grab two grays and we'll do the things that we want to be white. I'm not going to do real super dark gray. I grabbed my grays. If I stop wiggling here, you'll be able to see them. IG2, IG5 in a blender. Oh, there we go. I'm like, gosh, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. IG2, IG5 in a blender pen. These two are a lot spaced apart. So basically I'm going to start out, I always start out with a light one. And for making something look white, I start out on the edges, all the way around the edges, and I just put down a light coat. This is kind of showing me where I want to put down my color. I want that to be around the edges, and then maybe there's a little bit more gray in the corners because there might be a shadow there. Okay, and then a little bit of gray in between these little green leaves, and I think it's holly, but I'm not sure. just where I think that that would probably be shadowed. You can kind of see where I just really hastily put in all that gray color. Now I'm going to follow that same exact place, but I'm going to do it with the darker one, and I'm going to be careful not to put down too much. And this is IG5. I'm going to follow the exact same pattern that I just put down that light one. I'm not going to put down as much, but I'm going to follow the same pattern that I did before. We're just darkening up where those shadows would lie. And this seems counterintuitive to add a bunch of dark color when you want something to be white, but once we get this all blended out, you'll see why it really makes a difference. Then you can go back over with the light gray if you want, which is IG2. I'm just going to do that really quickly. You can extend it a little bit farther than you did, and this just blends that darker gray out. If you had too harsh of a color and you wanted to fix that, just go ahead and use that light gray and just rub it out. Rub it into the dark gray, make it extend a little further, get rid of any harsh lines you might have. And then the last thing I do, if I didn't like the way that ended up, and I think that looks pretty good, but if I didn't like it, then I would go in with the blender. Come on, camera, help me out. If I don't like the way that looks, I go in with the clear blender. Here we go. And then I can lighten it up even further by going over the top of it with the clear blender. Because what it does is the clear blender almost like, it doesn't erase it. It's like a bleaching. It looks like it's being bleached out slowly. Jennifer says, can you show us how to do the face? I'm going to do the face next. And can you mix, Cranky Crafter says, can you mix different brands of alcohol markers together? Absolutely. You totally can. But play with them, because I don't have enough experience to tell you, like, I do. I mix Copics and Spectrum Noirs, but I don't have, like, all the other kinds. So basically all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back over everything that I did and blend it out or bleach it a little bit with my blender pen, and that'll give it even more of a blended out look. The blender pen is clear, but do you see that there's a little bit of gray on there? All you have to do is take a pen, if you have a really dark color on there, take a marker, and go right on some clear paper and just wipe it off, but really nothing happens. If I let this sit long enough, that'll disappear and you won't probably even see it. But that's all I do. So I could do that on all the rest of the white stuff, but let's hit the face. My favorite colors for the face, where's my tan? I like to mix the F colors and the tans, the TN colors. Not camera. Anyway, one's FS3, one's FS4, and one's TN2. If you're writing these down and you want to go at them. Maybe I'm just not, I'm too wiggly today or what? I don't know. Well, I like the FS ones because they look mostly skin tone. So I go in with the FS3. Maybe that'll work if I just do one. There we go. FS3. I'm going to color in the whole face. Be very careful not to color in the whites of her eyes. I see people do this and I don't understand why they do that. We do not have color in the whites of our eyes. And also I don't go over the lips, because if I want to add a color to the lips, I just don't want to have to go over it. It doesn't really matter. That's just my preference. I'm going to color the whole face except for the whites of her eyes, obviously, and her lips. So what I'm talking about is these are her pupils, these great big black things. Then there's the iris, right, the color. And then there's the white of her eye, which is that last little loop at the bottom. Don't color that in. That's supposed to be white. Look at your eye in a mirror. You know what I'm talking about. This is, I don't know what the FS, I don't know what those stand for. They probably were on the box, but I just don't pay any attention. So if you have any other skin, color that too. All that shows on here is just her little neck, so I'm going to color that in. And then for blending out, making the shadow, I use these, and I think these are the tan colors because they're TN. TN2 is what I'm using today. And you can go darker if you want more of, how would you say that? So I'm real fair skinned. This is a fair skin color. If you go with the TNs like these, you'll get a darker, you'll get like the olive skin all the way through like an maybe a, I feel like I have to be totally politically correct here and I can't come up with the right words. If you want darker skin, use the TNs. You could get Spanish American looking skin. And then if you throw in some EBs, you can get even darker skin. I've played with them all. I've even done blue skin and pink skin. So it's just whatever you want to do. And all I'm going to do with this one is the same thing, kind of technique that I used for the other stuff. I'm going to run this along the very edge of her face, down the side of her cheek, and then have it kind of disappear at the bottom of her jowl or her jawline. See the difference in the two pigmentations there? Now the darker you go, the more contrast you're going to get. And then I'm going to put a little bump on the top of her nose, just to kind of make her nose stand out. It would be nice if this would, if I had a fancy camera that would give you exactly what you need to see there. There we go. And then, like the other colors, all we're going to do is go back in with the FS3 that we began with, and we're just going to go right over the top of that. Kind of going in that little round circly motion. And then making it really, really light strokes through her face. You don't want to get really dark. These are almost too close of color, so I'm going to jump up one more. I'm going to go up to TN3. And I'm going to do that again. Yeah, that's a little bit better of a color. You want to have a little bit more of kind of a shading there. I have to tell you guys, I hope you really enjoy this, and I hope you get a lot from these tips. But like explaining to people how to color things is totally not my forte. But I'm going to go back in and I'm going to blend that out by just going back and forth in a little wiggly motion, like a just along the edge of where those two colors meet, and that's it. And then a little bit into her cheeks, just so I don't have a harsh line. A little bit in her forehead so I don't have a harsh line. And it should all blend out like that. That looks a lot better to me. And then pick a color for her eyes. I think since it's Christmas, we'll give her green eyes. I'm going to use DG4 for that. DG4. It's a green. And this is a real simple way of coloring eyes. Just go and color them straight in. Wow, this is a really dark green. So she almost looks like she's got brown eyes. You can, there are ways to do fixes though. Let's say, that wasn't exactly the color green I wanted. I kind of wanted it maybe a little bit lighter. So I'm going to go in with this blender pen, which is basically just a pen with alcohol in it. And I'm going to go back over. You guys should have been screaming at me, telling me to get a little closer with the camera. That would have been really helpful. I think that's as close as I can get. I'm going to go back in over those eyes, the iris there, with the blender pen, and voila, it bleaches that green out to a much lighter green. Wow, you can really see the difference there. And then if you wanted to go in with a brighter green, you could go right over the top of that. You can go over the top of it with as many layers as you want. So now I'm going to use this green and go over it. That's much lighter. This looks a lot better to me, this really light green. And this is a CG2. So I'm going to go over it with the CG2. That's a better color green. I like it. The other tip I want to give for you when you're coloring images like this and you want them to come to life is to have on hand, let me see if I can find mine, is a really good, here it is, gel pen. These are my absolute favorite right here. It is the Uniball Signal White Gel Pen. I gotta stop breathing if I want it to focus, I guess. Come on, you were just there. Ugh. There it is. Uniball Signal. Pause the video and write it down before it disappears. I just like this one because they seem to always be ready to roll. And I like to do this. You see where the little light shining in our eyes are? I like to make those a little bit more pronounced. And then I like to put another little dot right next to it to make her look even more sparkly. And if you accidentally cover up those teeny tiny little white sparklies in her eyes, those teeny tiny little dots in her eyes with the color, if you go over that with a white gel pen and dot it out, you'll be good to go. So I'm going to go back in with that same color green that I just used for her eyes, which was a CG2. And I'm going to color in the little leaves. How are we doing on time, Kathy? And let's say I want to bring out this bow and make that kind of, I was going to do pinks and blues, but hey, let's just stick with Christmas colors, right? I'm just going to make this bow green so that it ties into the same color that we're doing at the top, so everything matchy-matchies. I'm going to color the whole thing with this. See, now I covered up this bow at the bottom with red. I'm not going to worry about it. I could still use this on a card and nobody would be like, but you covered up the bow with a little bit of red. Oh, I forgot to go out. Now you missed that whole darn thing. Darn me. Anyway, I went over this with just the CG2. Just like the leaves. And now I'm going to go back in with that dark green that I accidentally colored her eyes and I decided I didn't really like that. I think it was either DG3 or DG4. I'm going to go in with DG3, which is one step up from the CG2 that we're using. Do you see the difference in the colors? One's a DG and one's a CG, but they blend nicely together. Come on. Gonna have to take my word for it. I'm going to use this darker DG3 to put in my highlights, and I'm just going to follow, this one's really dark, I'm going to follow the automatic little lines that she pre-drew in here, and that's probably all I'm going to do. I'm not going to do a lot of extra added to that. And then the little lines in the leaves, just put in a little bit of green there with that dark. And then just go around and around with the lighter color, around and just blend it in. I've heard other people say too that when they use Spectrum Noirs, they use kind of a rounding motion, a circular motion when they do it. I don't know that it really makes a difference. It's totally up to you. I'm not sure what this star here is for, so I'm just going to color that in green. And her face really came to life. Hey, Deborah. So, one last thing before we get into that other little thing that I wanted to do today. An hour goes so fast, I just can't even believe it. I want to show you how to add a little pink to her cheek. So I'm going to take the pink line, the PP2. PP1 is almost nearly, you can't see it. So I'm going to use PP2 and I'm going to start right by her eyes. And I'm going to bring it down into her cheek. And I'm just going to stop about right there. This is especially important since in Wisconsin in winter, cheeks get really rosy. Do you see that? But it looks kind of like you just threw on a bunch of rouge and left it there. So then you go back in with the color of skin you used, which ours was FS3. And instead of blending over the whole top of it, you just blend in where the cheek, the pink on the cheek met the skin color. And just blend it out. And then it won't be as dark. Now right now you're seeing a lot of difference because it's still wet, but as it dries, you're going to find that that just blends the whole thing out. Now if you don't like how dark her cheeks are, you can definitely go over the top of it with this skin tone and blend the whole thing out. Isn't she darling? She turned out so cute. I don't know what color I want to make those flowers. I suppose we could just stick with red since that's where we're at. You've got little flowers like this. This is my favorite technique, is just to take the darker color, which is the DR5, put a little dot right in the middle, and then take the lighter color, which was originally our CR10, and then just scribble over the top of it until it fills the flower. And that's it. That is it. And now we could use the gray tones to finish off her hand muff and this little thing, and then her shoes. And I always do the bottom of the shoes black. I don't know why. I just do. But I like to go like a step down from black and use this one, which is IG10, because it's not a jet black. I come in from both sides. Am I in? Yep, I'm in frame. I come in a little bit from both sides. I stop in the middle. Because one time I watched a video where that looked really cool and it looked like there was a little shiny mark there. And then I go back in with my darker gray that I had before, which is now the IG5. It's just a couple of steps lighter. And I'm going to go over the whole thing until they blend. And then it's a little bit lighter in the middle and almost looks like there's a little shimmer on her shoes. And I think that the tops of those shoes right there is another little bit of white fluff. Do you see that? So we're going to make those white. It looks fluffy. We're going to leave those white. Okay, 20 minutes left. I think I'm going to stop there. One other tip. Let's see, what else can I give you? It was on my mind and it disappeared. Oh, you know what? I didn't blend out her little nose. Let me do that. FS3, and I'm just going to blend up that little bump that I made for her nose. I'm just going to blend it up just slightly. Makes it look like she has a little nose. You don't have to do that. If you like just the bump, you can leave it. Every once in a while, I will take a super light blue, which in the Spectrum Noirs, the lightest blue is this one called TB1. And I will take this blue and I'll make an outline around the entire image. You just lightly go around the entire image, like you're tracing her. And then she stands out. Oh, lips. Good point. Take the one that you did with her cheeks with and make her lips the same color. And we used PP2, so I went and just did PP2. There you go. If you want her lips to match her outfit, you can use the DR5 and do a real deep red lip. That'd be cool too. I don't know why that became a thing, going around an image with the blue, but let me just show you what that looks like. You literally just follow along the whole thing and do one row of blue. See the difference in how she looks when she's outlined in blue? And you tell me, do you see the difference? Do you like the difference? I do. I just think it looks really cool. You can put highlight on the lips too. I don't usually, but you can. Doesn't she just come to life? I mean, let's do the before and after. That's always fun. Before, after. Oh yes, wink of Stella too. Yep, wink of Stella to the eyes. Oh yeah, there's another good tip. On the line of doing the eyes, if you get a really bad print and your eyes has little white flecks in it, just take any kind of permanent marker. I like to use this one. It's a Bic Market, and it's just black, but it's ultra fine tip. I use that to color in the whole eye to make it super, super black. Doesn't the blue make a difference? It does, doesn't it? Well, that's another fun tip to make it just really stand out. Yeah, the blue makes her pop, totally. It's just such a cool technique. I don't know where that ever came from, but I like it too. So let me clear some of this out of here, and I'll show you with the last 15 minutes how, well, let me know. Do you guys want to see how I did this one? And I'll move my Spectrum Noirs out of the way. Let me know if you want to see how I did that, and we'll back out just a tad. What marker do I recommend for those that don't have markers? If I were you, I would use the 50% off at Michael's and Joann's, and I would buy the sets of the Spectrum Noirs. However, I have not tried these. There's another set of markers out there. I didn't look these up ahead of time because I didn't know I would get this question, but there's a new set of alcohol markers out there. It's got a really fun, funky name, and I can't think of it. On Amazon.com, just look it up. Amazon.com, look up alcohol markers. There's a set that's even cheaper than the Spectrum Noirs, but here's the thing, I've never used them, so I can't tell you whether or not they work the same. I don't know why they wouldn't, but that's what I would do. Oh my gosh, how many total markers are there for Spectrum? Can somebody have a calculator? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times 12 times 14. What does that end up to be? 168 markers. Mayuki says that Zig are watercolor markers and they're awesome. There's a lot of different mediums we can color with today, folks, but today I just wanted to focus on that one. But let's do this. Basically, you get a white piece of cardstock. And if you missed it in the beginning, a gal named Virginia Liu on the Stamping Enablers group on Facebook did something that looks like this, but she used a watercolor set she had, and I don't have a watercolor set like what she had, so I'm going to use inks because that's what I have, and I'm going to use a Versamark. I don't want the Dazzle one. I'm going to use a Versamark one, which is a clear ink. I think we need to back out one more time, don't we? There we go. And I'm going to put on the same sentiments that I did before. I'm going to do a Merry Christmas, and I'm going to try to kind of put them right in the middle. A Merry Christmas and peace and joy to you and yours. And I can see it shining, so I kind of have an idea where to place them. You might not be able to see that from where you are at the moment. But I did the two sentiments first, and then, now the way this looks, if you notice, this is a lot more blurry than the snowflakes. That's because I did the center sentiments in clear and the snowflakes in white. So depending on how you want that to look, I'm going to do them all in white this time. So get out your white embossing powder and go over the top of all that. And now it's going to get loud. If you have a noise sensitivity, here we come. Oh, Oh, here comes the fun stuff. Although I do really enjoy watching that stuff melt. Now, she had those stripes, and I didn't have the watercolor, so I grabbed out these two colors, the lighter ones first. I grabbed out Tumbled Glass and Shaded Lilac. And I label mine on the side because when you stack them, you cannot see what the colors are. Because they're on the top, but you can't see them when you stack them, so I have them labeled. Tumbled Glass and Shaded Lilac. And I liked her colors, so I stuck with that. So I went the light color first. And I just smeared it with a little bit in between each one. Now the darker colors you pick, the more the Merry Christmas and your sentiment will pop. And then I took the lighter one of the purples, because I have more purples. And I kind of went in between those, but they overlap just a tad. I just dragged them over the top. And you can add as much or as little as you like. And then we'll go. I really liked the fact that she had these really dark purples on the edge, so I went and found another one, which happens to be Dusty Concord. And this time, instead of going flat straight across, I tilt it to the side. How do I explain that? I tilt it to the side and just use the edge. And I'm trying to stick to just the edge of the purples where the purples touched. And that's how I got that look. And then, because I wanted it just a little bit darker, I went over the top of mine with the green, the Tumbled Glass again. Because I didn't like all the white being showing through as much, so I covered it up. So however you want it to look. Imagine if you get a little bit more of that ink, get it really dark in where the sentiment is, that will pop that much more. I'm going to go ahead and just use my inks to darken up right where the words fall. Yeah, you can totally see it that much more. So darker colors are better, but I just thought this was so cool. And then of course some of the ink sticks on top of there. So you just want to go over the top and wipe it off a little bit if anything's puddling on it. And then to get the rest of the look, I went ahead and used the largest of my circles. And I tried to put that in the center as best I can. If you've got a really, really huge die punch or something, you can use that. But this was my easiest and quickest way of doing it, and then I cut it out. 10 minutes left. We're going to totally make it. The only thing we have left to add, I'm going to cut this pretty quickly. And then I used my handy dandy eraser, of course, and got rid of any of the pencil marks after I was done doing this part. This is not going to be a perfect square because I'm going kind of quick. Perfect square. Perfect circle, I meant. You know what I meant. There we go. I want a little bit more purple on that edge because you can't see it. There. Now some of this is still going to be wet, and I didn't care because look how really cool this turned out. When some of the embossing powder still sticks to that wet ink and you get all these little extra dots, it almost looks like it's adding a snow texture to it, and I love that. So I'm not going to wait for this to completely dry. I'm going to go ahead and use the snowflake to pop on snowflakes wherever I think they would look good on here. Some I'm going to be completely on the cardstock. Some are going to be kind of hanging off the cardstock. And I need to make I gotta tilt it so I can see where they are. Did I miss any? That's good enough. I got plenty on there. And I'm going to do this in white as well. Like I said, the first time I did it, if you're looking at this one, I did the middle clear instead of white. So if you want that kind of hazy, magical looking turnout, then do it that way. It did turn out cool, just different than what I'm doing this time. So here's what happened to me the first time. Do you see how there's embossing powder all over the white sentiment? I don't want that, of course. I do want it around the snowflakes. So I'm just going to take my brush and I'm going to just brush off all that stuff that's sticking to the words. And if it's sticking around the other snowflakes, that I'm going to leave, because I don't mind. I don't mind that. But I want that sentiment to really pop out. So I certainly don't want it all covered up with that extra stuff. This one's really thick on the bottom. I'm not sure what happened to that. So I scraped off too much, so I'm going to add just a little bit more, because this one was really blobbed at the bottom. Okay. Now I'm going to set this aside, so if you have noise issues, here comes the noise, and we'll finish this off. And there you have it. It's completely done, and you can go over that with your ink now as much as you want. So if you want that to be darker, I mean, that one's even darker. So now you can go over it again and darken those spots up if you want. I'm going to leave it because I like that this one's a little bit less. But just streak it over the top again, and then once you got that done, wipe off any of the ink that went over the top of your embossing, and you have it. Time sure flies when you're having fun. We got 5 minutes left, and we're going to end on time today. How do you like that? So Kathy is denoting that on Quality Crafts, we will no longer have albums of items that you can sell. So if you want to sell your items, use the Craft Corner buy and sell site. And she's also the admin of that. So if you want to sell things, go to look in the what do you call it? The chat box here. Craft Corner, both with K's. Craft with a K and Corner with a K. Buy sell site, and she'll let you in. You're welcome to pop on advertisements for your sales to your sites, but sell all the stuff on your site instead of on Quality Crafts. That way it doesn't become just a selling site. Cool, I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I thought that was awesome. It was a really fun idea that I had found by, let me say her name again, Virginia Liu on Stamping Enablers group. So we've got lots more of these kind of techniques and tutorials on my channel. If you want to stick around, hop back onto my channel and look through my archived videos. I've got, it doesn't say it for you because I guess I have other videos that I have on there through work with sign language and things on it. But I do literally have over 700 videos on there. I think 600 and some are available to view right now. So if you want to check out some more of my videos and learn some new techniques and things, that would be something fun to do with your afternoon. And otherwise, let me just say that my YouTube channel, Jen Evers, is connected to my Facebook page, which is called Quality Crafts. Hence, every time I do a video for on my YouTube, I say, hey crafters, it's me, Jen Evers with Quality Crafts. That's so that you know that those two are connected somehow. Quality Crafts is like my branding name. So on Quality Crafts, it's a no drama, no commitment group where we have monthly swaps and weekly challenges. And to this week's challenge, they always run Sunday to Sunday. And every Sunday, like today, This video is the inspiration for the challenge on the Quality Crafts page. So the challenge is to color an image. It does not have to be this one. It can be any image at all that you've hand stamped or you have a digital image of. And I don't care how you color it. You can use Spectrum Noirs if you have them, Copics, watercolor, colored pencil, ink coloring, whatever you have. Somebody said, can you use gelatos to color this technique? Kind of, sort of, but you'd have to play around with it because gelatos are completely more like watercolor than this, if that makes sense. So basically we can get into that another time. Are there any other questions that I haven't hit? So the challenge runs Sunday to Sunday. So you have from today until next Sunday to color any image that you want in any medium you want. Go to Quality Crafts and post it in the correct photo album, the photo album that's called Weekly Challenges Ends December 4th. Because it's always the Sunday after that it's labeled as. So you know when the deadline is. That was the whole purpose in titling it that way. Yep, Mickey, you're right. Quality Crafts on Facebook, exactly how you typed it in there. Oh, thanks, Kay. She said, wow, you had 54 watching today. That's amazing. Okay, and for those who aren't a part of the typed chat room, if you're watching this archived, I don't know if she's gonna let you do this once it archives. I'm assuming so. Jody Panache, who is Jody Sutherland, she has a Stampin' Up site now that if you mention in my live stream, you get 20% off. So email her at jodysstampingpanache@gmail.com. Yes, somebody else was asking about the Sigma white gel pen. Let me turn it on its right side. Here we go. This is the gel pen that I totally suggest you get. Uniball Signo white gel pen. And I buy these online, Amazon.com, look it up. I can't like get you the links, but Amazon.com, look up the Signo gel pen, Uniball Signo white gel pen, and it'll come up, and they're cheaper than the store. Sherry wants to know what colors I would use for the tops of the shoes. The tops of the shoes I had mentioned earlier, if you look real close, it looks like they're fluffy, like this stuff up here. So I'm going to leave them white. I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of gray on them. So I would just take my darker gray here, and where all those little lines are, all the little fluffy lines, I'm going to put a little bit of dark gray around those lines. Same on her little hand muff here. Thank you everybody who told me about the hand muff name. And then a little bit of gray on the little poofy parts of her shoes. And then I'm going to blend that out with, where's my light gray? My IG2, which is my lighter gray. I'm just going to, sounds like I'm scratching it, but I'm just kind of using a little round motions to blend that darker gray out so it doesn't look so harsh. And in doing that, it will leave the shadows and give you the false look that it's actually white. And then to blend that out further, you use the plain old blending marker. And in case somebody came in later, she has a blue halo around her head because doing a light blue mark around the entire image makes it really pop. Oh, I'm over. Okay, well, I think I've said everything that I had to say, so I really hope that you gained some insight and some of these tips were helpful to you and that you'll give it a shot. Go over to Quality Crafts and join in our weekly challenge. color any image and pop it up there, and maybe you'll be the winner. And there'll be a winner from this live stream that will be mentioned on the next live stream that will be happening on Thursday, because today's Sunday, Thursday, December 1st. So I can't wait to see you guys next video. Bye-bye.